I guess make sure to record.
All right. So what we have here is a deck that talks a lot about Claris Engage and the new products that were released after Engaged. What happened and what's to come beyond Claris Engage essentially is the deck. So I don't know, a lot of you here maybe have attended. I know we had some people attend in August when they did their 2-day virtual event. It was, in place of the DevCon that's happened in the past. They actually rebranded this year as Engage, which was kind of interesting. It was supposed to be their first year under the name Engage. And then, things happened with COVID and whatnot, so they decided to do it virtually. So I'll take a few minutes to share about what happened both at Claris Engage and after, and what's on the horizon down the road as far as what FileMaker is going to be doing. Change slides. So during the presentation, we'll cover the following: featured on-demand sessions through leadership from community experts, recap of the 2-day conference, product release updates for FileMaker Claris Pro and FileMaker Server, and we'll give you some more resources on where you can find more information if you so choose. So Claris Engage was a completely new way to engage essentially with people. The 2-day conference created a great opportunity for Claris enthusiasts to connect across time zones, but it also required a new way to share technical session content. So there wasn't a reasonable way to present the content live, so it's been published on demand. It was published on demand and online, and they've been doing a lot to publish these things post as well to keep up their YouTube channels and whatnot. And like the live events that they've always done in the past, the community presenters delivered a lot of content that was good for everyone to attend and watch. Like I said, there's a rich library of on-demand session content for Claris Engage. It's available for everyone to consume at your own pace. And there's also topics for everyone. It's a broad spectrum of business and technical topics in there as well. You can find these on the Claris Academy or on the Claris YouTube channel, where they have been organized into playlists that are grouped together. And as you can see over here on the right, they have a rich library of sessions and how they group them together on their Claris page. Some of their featured topics they highlighted here: Making a New Friend, Virtual versus JSON by Heather McHugh, Accessing the Cloud Through Accessibility, FileMaker and the Apple iOS Human Interface Guidelines. So like I said, they've organized these into YouTube channels, they have playlists. Additionally, Claris continues to promote the on-demand sessions with campaigns, and here they're featuring some expert female voices from the Claris community. It's a fun fact here: nearly 25% of the on-demand sessions were produced by women, and these are a few of the top featured sessions from the on-demand sessions that we talked about above, as they highlighted them here. Probably the one that I was interested in a lot was the virtual versus JSON. Virtual lists are technically a lot of developers embraced and used, and a lot of our in-house developers use it. And the session here went through basically the how to implement JSON with this long trusted technique, and it still meeting all the requirements, but embracing JSON as a better way to implement virtual lists throughout applications you might be building. So as they branded it with an unforgettable experience, Claris Engage 2020, it happened August 4th through 5th. It was the 25th anniversary of the conference, which, milestone there. To think that it's been going on for 25 years. The Claris community came together in new ways across time zones and technologies. We've updated all the on-demand content, we being FileMaker and Claris, that's available. So we're going to go through a recap of the 2-day conference. So there was over 26,000 individual registrations for sessions. It's a pretty big number. 90,000 social interactions they had, and they had over 50 plus actual total sessions that they produced. So while the COVID-19 pandemic required creativity, many throughout the community came together to participate in the conference in a completely new way. As you can imagine, it was virtual. I think a lot of people around the country and the world are implementing these kinds of things now. So it's creative. It's always creative to see how they're pulling it off. The free virtual format allowed Claris to extend its reach beyond in-person events that they've done in the past, more than doubling year-over-year registration. So obviously it worked and they had a nice big turnout. Highlights of day one. So essentially it kicked off with CEO Brad Freitag at the helm. What were some of the key takeaways from his message? Claris is growing, it's still profitable. It's increasing its investments in its products and people, which is great for people like us who use it for our day-to-day life. It's good news for Claris. Claris is more than 1 million users who rely on the platform to run their businesses. They went over their COVID response team, which was in participation with Join Table, and they were able to mobilize Claris developers to help fight the impacts of the virus around the world, which is nice. They are currently running about 50 projects underway, all regarding COVID. They had more than 600 Claris developers volunteer over 6,000 hours every month. They were doing development on these projects, and they're still working on them today. During the past year, Claris has launched FileMaker 19. They opened up opening up the platform to JavaScript integrations more and add-ons. They released their first ever Linux version on FileMaker Server, and Claris Connect, which is the company's automation product that makes everyday apps work better. They've added some new executives to their team. Peter Nelson is the new VP of Engineering, and Britta Meyer-Rock is the new VP of Marketing, who were all introduced at Claris Engage. They've also had growth in their partners. So over the past year, growth in new partners increased by 55%, which is a nice staggering number. And then more than 200 Claris partner events, resulting in more than 18,000 attendees, such as the IFDG like we're doing here today. They've also offered a new Claris Academy. So they've kind of rebranded, relaunched their free training online. It's free, it's personalized training to developers from beginners to advanced. And workers impacted by COVID-19 can receive a free annual FileMaker developer subscription through the end of 2020. So if you're looking for that, reach out. Vision forward Claris platform futures. Can't say that word. So essentially what happened next was day two. Claris's VP of Product Development and Design, Srini Garapu, and all of his team were basically highlighted in Claris's journey through the digital transformation, which has been their focus for the last couple of years. Srini and the product team shared compelling updates of the future of the product and how Claris is focused on helping developers and customers create intelligent apps with the platform. Some of the key takeaways we can highlight here. Every company is now digital, and every employee has an opportunity to solve problems with new tools. Leveraging the Claris platform and how it truly offers no, low, and pro code capability to developers or problem solvers at any skill level. Srini also emphasized Claris's vision for enabling creation of intelligent apps that feature insights, actions, and outcomes, and are the future of app design. So the Claris vision and mission supports creation of intelligent apps with intelligent automation, driving better outcomes for your teams and your organization. The Claris platform uniquely embraces users and developers at all skill levels, as it offers no, low, and pro code capabilities to those creating the apps within the platform. Additional features shared related to the Claris platform, the 19.1 release, which is what we're going to talk about later in the slide deck here. The Claris community is building a range of add-ons available soon on Claris Marketplace that provide simple and impactful ways to expand your app's function and appearance. Quick app authoring is also coming soon to the platform. They've put together a kind of a preview of that in the 19 version, the 19.1 release, but it allows anyone to snap together templates and add-ons to create apps and features sooner. And one of the big things that we've been asking for a long time, at least through the community and our customers, is Android client support is on the horizon. So they're going to embrace the Android architecture as well. Srini and his team team anchored against 4 technology pillars with regard to the future product direction: cloud smart, automation, AI, and modern experiences. The product team shared future insights into the latest enhancements to Claris FileMaker, Claris Connect, and the next gen product. Ultimately, the Claris vision is summarized with this quote from Srini. At Claris, our vision and mission is to support you in developing intelligent apps and intelligent automation to drive better outcomes in the workplaces you are a part of. So everyone working together to come up with solutions is the goal. Beyond the keynote sessions and product features and releases, Claris Engage was complete with rich panel discussions and thought leadership from Claris engineers, partners, developers, business owners, and more. Here on this slide, you can see a list of the featured discussions from the conference. These are all available to view on your own, and I encourage you to check them out based on your areas of interest. You can relive the Claris Engage easily through a clean Claris Engage resource page available on claris.com. After the local Claris Engage, they actually took it worldwide. Engage experiences continued with Claris Engage Japan in November. Japan hosted their popular annual conference virtually with broadcasted sessions over 3 days, plus many sessions delivered on demand through December. Claris is also taking time to localize some of the content, so they've kind of picked out some of the more popular Engage sessions and made them available in other localizations, including German, French, Spanish, and Italian. This includes the keynotes, technical under the hood sessions with insights into the company vision and roadmap. So if you're looking for any localized languages, you can find those on claris.com. All right, let's get into the features. So Claris's FileMaker Pro 19.1.3, which was released soon. These happened all after Engage was over. And this is the first of their releases in their new agile approach to development, which they've committed to quarterly releases at this point. FileMaker Pro enhancements were shared at the conference and are now available in the latest release of the product, which launched worldwide on September 29th. And then the updated 19.1.3, which had bug fixes, was released on October 27th. Key features of this release include add-ons, preview quick start, and quick start experience for Mac OS, which I will look at here a little bit. The first key update was the add-ons. So add-ons allow you to snap together robust apps quickly using pre-built tools that add great functionality to apps in minutes. And it also allows partners to submit their own add-ons to the marketplace, making more powerful tools available on a wider scale. There are add-ons available in the product in addition to add-ons that are available on the marketplace. And there's some that come pre-built, which we can go through here right now. So the latest release ships with 9 add-ons included, with more add-ons becoming available on the marketplace as partners begin creating and submitting their add-on solutions for wide availability to make app creation faster and building powerful solutions. So here's a quick breakdown of the ones that are built into 19.1. There's a calendar add-on. You can instantly add calendars to your apps and easily map them to your data. View your schedule by day, week, or year. Drag and drop meetings to balance your schedule. Add cards with event details, trigger scripts, including custom logic and more. There's a calendar heat map. You can get a bird's eye view of your activities with the calendar heat map. Watch colors become darker on days with more events and scheduled, as more events are scheduled, sorry. And then a Kanban board. So you can visually track the progress of your projects with a Kanban board to maximize your efficiency, monitor your task status, to-dos, and progress and done columns, drag tasks between the columns in sort order. There's an activity timeline, so you can stay on time and track with an activity timeline, ideal for project tracking, event planning, marketing campaigns, and more. Simple chart, so you can make your data come to life using a chart add-on, which goes beyond the embedded charts, charting in FileMaker. Visual display your information in a bar, pie, donut, or gauge or line chart. They have an add-on for photo gallery, so if you're looking for a grid view, that's available now in there. Easily organize all of your pictures with the photo gallery add-on. The gallery is responsive, so photo placement automatically adjusts as the screen size changes, and you can select the images to display customized details. barcode generating. That's one that we get a lot of requests for from companies. Create and store barcodes in your custom app with a barcode generator, track assets, manage inventory, monitor ticketed events, and more. And you can use your mobile app to scan and capture your barcodes like you could before. Rich text editor. Use the rich text editor to format and edit your layouts, emails, PDFs, and more exactly the way you'd like. You can set font sizes, bold, italics, underlines, embed photos, bold lists, hyperlinks, timers, so you can stay focused and boost your productivity with the timer add-on. Use the visual clock to time tasks like appointments and presentations. You can do it yourself with your own add-ons and make your own add-ons. We've actually recently published our first add-on, FM Draw. It's available on the marketplace. As you can see, essentially, it's a quick way to add on the capability to mock up and draw on images that you may have in your system. Encourage you to check it out. I know we've got some good feedback from the community already for additional feature requests and things that they'd like added to this add-on. The quick start experience. So this is a preview basically of what's to come in the next generation. So another notable feature in 19.1.2 is the quick start preview feature, which introduces a drag and drop experience to help new users get started building apps and bring developers to the platform. It was demonstrated at Engage and it's now available in the 19.1 release. The quick start preview experience shows how new users can begin building apps with a drag and drop design and a browser-based experience known as minimum viable learning, or MVL. The product is previewed as designed for us to try out the feature and provide feedback to them. It's not a full product, it's just more of a preview. But here's what you can do with it. You can create a new blank file using FileMaker Pro for Mac OS, assemble your new app using drag and drop to combine fields and graphic objects. They'll automatically reflow in a dynamic grid, keeping your layout looking polished and professional. And then you can use the smart layout tools to customize style. You can build one or many layouts, then click Done to continue working on your new app, leveraging FileMaker Pro as you're used to. Once you've exited the preview for the design and you click Done, there's no way really to get back into it in that file for right now. That's the preview part of it. And then they call it a limited release. The reason is to give you a peek at the future and a sense of what you can accomplish, even with a very limited version of what's to come. And they're eagerly looking for people's feedback. If you're an advanced developer, critique this offering through the lens of a new user, and then get back to them when you first started learning FileMaker. What would have made it easier and faster to learn, and what would you have changed? Essentially looking for feedback on how to make the experience better. This kind of highlights their agile approach to development. So Claris is delivering a minimum viable product for the community to use, test, and share feedback rather than waiting for perfection and doing an annual release. It's only the beginning, and future releases will be impacted by what the community shares and what they like and experience. So I went ahead and did this here. I just simply made a new file. The one thing I will say is you have to have advanced tools off in order for this to trigger. And then you just say create new blank file like I did on my desktop here. And this is what it looks like. It has the default fields that are in the table, and as I just drag things around, you can see them rearrange on their own as it makes the layout. So it's pretty interesting. You throw things where you need to. You can resize the layout into parts. Add objects like you normally would. Pictures, text. So, but then once you're done, and you can't get back in here, you can add new layouts, obviously, and you can keep going and building until you're happy with it. Next, we're going to talk about the FileMaker server release. This one's pretty exciting for me. Essentially, Linux is here, so that's great. I remember back when I started, there was a Linux version in FileMaker, and then it kind of went away, but now they've brought it back, which I think is awesome. You can host your FileMaker apps on the world's most popular open source platform. Claris FileMaker Server 19.1.2 is part of the open release of Claris FileMaker 19. It supports CentOS Linux. Businesses trust Linux for cloud hosting and on-prem servers because it's secure, stable, and affordable. To go into a little more details about this, so FileMaker Server for Linux has all of the key features you need to manage your data, including data integration via OData and the FileMaker Data API, server-side scripting schedules, server-side plugins, custom backups, external authentication, essentially trying to get really good with the feature parity. Plus, when you choose Windows, Mac, or Linux, FileMaker Server 19.1.2 delivers what matters most in performance, stability, and reliability. You'll get significant improvements like faster backups. The installer now preserves your information. I recently upgraded our internal dev server, and it was basically just like you would expect when installing on a Windows machine. You ran the installer, and it did the upgrade, and you were good to go. Better performance with optimized indexing and sorting on multiple user apps, engine level enhancements to manage file integrity, temporary files, and backups, stronger security with support for elliptic curve cryptography, ECC, SSL, TLS certificates. If you want help with your ideal FileMaker deployment, you can visit us at dbservices.com. You can get FileMaker Server 19.1.2 for the best hosting experience on your server or with your cloud service provider. Or if you need any help setting up your ideal deployment, obviously you can come and talk to us. Performance and stability. So the Claris engineering team has shared additional insights into performance, stability, and reliability improvements of Claris 19.1.2 in their blog. In the last post, you can find best practice for administering Claris FileMaker Server with details into the improvements. So I'm going to do a quick look into this. Then the release that is of server. So they're improving the stability and reliability without page level locking, scheduled script to purge temporary database files, scheduled scripts to verify all database files, flushing the database cache and closing databases using the USR1 signal, fixed stability issues with progressive backups and full backups, which is welcome, performance improvements, use of sharing level access to the database structure, parallel indexing for find operations, sorting records on the host, memory-based key comparison during indexing. The easier installer, which I mentioned above. So the 19.1.2 performs a full installation. It's not an updater as for a bug fix release. However, unlike for a full installation in the past, you no longer need to uninstall the earlier version. You can just install over the top. And that means it'll retain your existing databases, configuration files, your SSL cert, your logs, everything else is left in place, which is nice. And then Server 19 adopted a more current standard with the ECC SSL or SSL TLS certificates. If you haven't switched from an RSA to an ECC certificate yet, consider making the change when you upgrade, as ECC provides stronger security and increased performance, yet uses shorter key lengths. So what does all it mean? I mean, we're basically seeing from other community members that they're seeing a 10x increase in certain operations performances, you know, essentially things that can take advantage of the multi-threading. We do recommend a daily server schedule to purge the temporary database files, as well as a daily schedule to verify all the database files once a day. And those are all outlined and detailed in the Claris blog on how to both configure and set them up. They've essentially added a script schedule right to the, you can add it right to the server script scheduling in there natively now. Another thing that we've basically learned is that you can turn some of these features on and off, which could help you tweak the performance and stability. You can create a release debug on text file. When in that file on the server, you basically put feature flags, and you can do this on Pro or server. But you can put your feature flags in there. I put the paths in here for the 3 different server versions where you create this text file. And then inside the text file, essentially, you're able to set these flags. So the disable sharing lock on server disables the sharing lock, as it says. The sharing lock is what gives you the most performance boost to the server in this 19.1.2 release. It's turned on by default, but if you do find yourself having issues, you can turn it off. You create this file, you put it in the folder, then you have to reboot the FileMaker server for it to take effect. Disable server-side sorting, another one that is basically providing performance increases to the server. Basically, you'll tell the server to no longer try to sort records on the server, which is, again, one of the performance boosts in 19.1.2. threaded sorting. So if sorting on server, use multiple threads. So you can tweak the sorting behavior even more on the client and server. Remote calls, if you want it to log the remote calls for troubleshooting, you can enable that. Force output basically forces it to write more of a debugging into the log file. I mean, these things are going to impact performance, which is why they're off by default, but you can enable them. Sharing lock for pro. If you're sorting on the client, you can tell it to use multiple threads. So this is one you could enable on the pro client, the last three here. Disable memory key comp indexing. So don't use memory instead of a temp file or multiple. Don't use memory instead of temp file for multi-key indexing. These are things you would try to enable if you're having certain troubleshooting issues or performance issues on a client, and then normal temp file. So you can use the normal temp file instead of persistent cache file. So I think it was in FileMaker 15, they started keeping a persistent cache file on the client. So if you have certain issues you're running into, you can enable this on each pro client individually, which means it's going to remove and recreate that cache every time you quit FileMaker Pro. So what's coming up on the horizon? Next from Claris. So this was the highlight from Claris Engage, and another future-focused element of the roadmap was going from paper to app using artificial intelligence. They demonstrated transformation of a paper form to a FileMaker app to show where the product is headed in the future. It was pretty incredible and a great sneak peek into something that the product team at Claris are working on in their labs. These future features are in R&D and not guaranteed in a future release, but are exciting to see in action even as previews. The concept leverages the 4 technology pillars. And if you'd like to watch the full demo or to watch the keynote, you can visit the Claris YouTube channel. One of the most exciting ones to me is that they are going to be coming out with an Android app coming soon. So another big announcement was the fact that they're going to have a native Android app in the future. So we know many of you are Android users, and Claris is working on a method to allow conversion of FileMaker apps to native Android apps and deploy them to those devices. With this addition to the Claris platform, you can now deliver a high-quality mobile experience to Android users with many of the same FileMaker Go features that you've come to know and love, including signature capture and photo capture and field data entry, and even offline syncing functionality, which is going to be huge. Robert Halsley, Senior Product Manager at Claris, did a demo of the Android experience at Engage. If you want to see it for yourself, be sure to check out this demo during the Vision Forward keynote presentation from day 2 at Claris Engage. And we have here learning resources. So here are all the available Claris Engage resources pages for your information, awareness, and convenience. There's so many ways to stay engaged and keep learning from experts. And that is the end of the presentation. I would open it up to questions if I try to answer any of them for people. Hey,
Mike.
Hey, Will.
I have a question about that layout. Is that a preview tool or is that an authoring tool that they?
This one?
Yeah.
That's an authoring tool.
Okay.
So you're basically building your layout in a way that's supposed to be dynamic and snaps to fit.
Okay. Does it automatically make things responsive, or is it really just to improve the layout authoring experience?
It's supposed to improve the authoring experience. So as I mentioned, you're basically trying to look at it through the guise of someone who has never used FileMaker before. And if they picked up the tool and made it more low code, how would they build a layout?
I see. So it has like all those snapping and kind of auto organizing features just to make it a bit easier.
Yep. So you can add new fields to your table right here as well before you. So you can basically build everything you would want to build, technically in the database, aside from the scripting, I believe. But you can add fields, drop down list. You can name them. You can set the options. You can create everything you would need to get that thing on the table or on the layout. Sorry.
I see. You were saying this is this only available in FileMaker Pro or?
Yeah, right now this is in the 19.1 release,
Okay.
which is what I have here.
Okay.
But like I said earlier, the trick is you have to turn off advanced tools, which most of us probably have on. And then when you open it up, here, it's gonna make my layout, but to make it fire, you just go create new. I'm just gonna do blank again. And throw it on my desktop, which open on the other screen, and then it essentially just drops you right in this preview, what they're calling, their preview of the new features that are coming. So this is what they're calling their agile deployment strategy, because they're showing this to people with the hopes that they'll get feedback and they can tweak it before it's finalized.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Yep. All right. Any other questions?
What do you like most, Mike? What's I know you highlighted a few things that stuck out.
In the current release, I like the server the best. I've been running it on our internal server for over a month now and haven't had any issues. I've noticed working from home that I've gotten some performance boosts, especially when running like weekly reports that I have to run. They load a lot faster for me now. That's my big thing. I haven't gotten to play around a lot with the Linux version, but I see that being a big deal. I've had a lot of larger companies always ask me if it runs on Linux in the past, and I think that would be, a popular feature.
It's my computer. And then the other thing, Mike, you highlighted that I think is important to just discuss is how you can manage the server. Typically, we've managed the server through admin console,
Mm-hmm.
right? We've managed it with the command line. There's certain things maybe not in the console, but
Mm-hmm.
you were mentioning there's a third way now.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's which slide it was, but there's a way to build it, put a text file in, here it is. You put a text file into one of these paths, and you can set different flags for the server and you can do this on Pro and server, but you set different flags and manage essentially the installation or the processes to tell it how to behave differently. If you're having some issues, you can test that way.
So is there any way to script that control to the client?
I have not looked into that. You're essentially just making a plain text file in a certain folder and then restarting the app. So I would imagine yes.
With the new text tools from.
Yep, I would imagine you could.
I just don't know if those folders. Can you go back to those folders? What's the client folder?
I didn't have the client one listed, but it's the same. It's essentially it's the install folder of the client.
Do you think it's a user folder, or do you think it's I don't know. I would have to be a user folder to support it, I would think.
Well, to do what you're to try to automate it, it would have to be a user folder. But like certain plugins like Base Elements, you might be able to write to those folders and get around it. Because I know what you mean. Like Windows is very strict about where you can write to.
Right. Well, hopefully they don't have too many of those questions on the certification, right? What options can you set on the text file? Because that's a very different behavior. Server's never been managed at a kind of text file level.
No, I agree. And maybe in a future version they'll move these to the command line or to the admin console itself. But for now, this is where they live.
Yeah, it's a big change. I know that. So
yeah, I implemented the normal temp file one down there to troubleshoot some of my customer stuff because it was performing poorly, slower than they were used to, and we were on a LAN and it was a massive system, so you may not need that cache file there persistently like it was doing, but you really just have to try it and see if it helps or not.
I think I'll add a little color too on the perspective of FileMaker moving forward with these agile releases, because I've heard this language before, but I don't think they use that language in that deck. But they look at it as experimental releases. That part of their agile style is getting it out there. So I think it's important for developers and consultants or in-house people, whoever, kind of understand which world are they working in. Are they working in the experimental features and or are they working with more of a finished product? And these add-ons, for example, are like that. They kind of give us a little bit to do things with, and then they add a little bit more to do things with, and eventually they'll get really user-friendly for all of us. But some of these things are very much just, they're out there, but they're not out there. Kind of like the AI engine is Mac only right now.
Yeah.
Do they want it in Windows? Sure, but it's, you know, you got to be careful with how you go about things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and they're calling them previews. Is a term I see them use a lot, but they are looking for feedback from the community on thoughts. I mean, like I said, they highlighted the fact that they want advanced developers to put through the eyes of, if I was brand new using this, is this something I would use or help me learn? To Whitehouse question.
Well, that what do they call it? Quick start, which of course confuses us, right?
Right.
The quick start stuff is like that. It reminds that feature specifically reminds me of, because they're always working on how to make it easier for the first time person to use. But it reminds me, they showed it at DevCon maybe the prior year, where it was almost like, hey, the future FileMaker cloud's going to have that built in.
Yeah.
So it's all that's going to be web authoring with the future cloud.
I think they're calling it Next or Next Gen.
I don't think Next Gen's the same thing.
Oh, is it different?
Yeah, it's entirely different. So, that they'll have to work on, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming on Next Gen. But from my fortunate eyes that I've seen, that they're a totally different product. One, Next Gen's more of a flow, creation tool, not like Claris Connect, because that's like flows, but the ability to really push and pull things and create BI and flow it through to.
Well, is Claris Connect basically data flows and the other one is workflows?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, where you can say, let's start with the data from over here, let's do some things, let's end with the data over here, or let's pop up some kind of interface for user interaction and part of the flow for somebody to do on a browser. But yeah, there's more to come, but it's very different. I think the future cloud at some point would probably have this web authoring tool, right? You just sign right up. You don't have to have a client to necessarily build more simplistic apps, and we'll see where they can take it. But it's good stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely been excited with this agile release they pushed out. I'm embracing it.
And you've had no problems with the install? The install was smooth. I think I remember you saying
really smooth.
It was like incredibly like, what? Am I done?
Yeah, that's how I felt. I started, I'm like, whoa, am I done? Am I sure? And I rebooted the server and I was like, look, it's running. I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I double checked all the schedules and everything, but they were all there and they were all running.
Well, I know we've been hesitant because it's such a new engine.
Correct.
But we haven't, I think they've really tested a lot.
It seems to be. It seems really stable.
Does anybody have any great ideas for the future of add-ons? Any add-ons out there anybody think would be game-changing? Any open topic? We thought about some wild things here, but I know that other people, I think Jeremiah specifically said he's already deployed a handful of add-ons with some customers.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Talked to him about that.
Because they're so easy, right? I mean, I don't know if he did barcoding and calendaring. I think he's done a couple of them. Anybody deployed any of those in production anywhere? Well, shame he's not on here. I saw him send an email, but I know he's done a few of them. So, real testament to JavaScript, right?
Yeah, most of them are JavaScript.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks everybody for coming. Anybody have any other questions? Any other topics?
There's someone in the chat. I'd like to see a simple basic accounting module that you can add on. It would have to be real basic, but yeah, technically it's doable.
Yeah, when I think accounting, I think transactions, so you scare me a bit.
Yeah, obviously that's not going to be super simple, but a basic one to do just a few of the basic like checkbook kind of accounting, not double entry or anything, but just a place to keep track of stuff.
A ledger.
would be fun to throw a few extra features in the solution.
And there's Jeremiah.
Hey.
We were talking about you.
Yeah. Your ears must be burning.
Hey, what's up?
We were asking if, and I believe you told me you've deployed some of those new add-ons in production systems.
Yeah. They're not.
Which ones?
The calendar, the photo gallery.
Photo gallery, that was one. Yeah. Did you do the barcode one? Anybody do the barcode one? We're such a junkie of the Geist one. We've used it so long. We have to really analyze whether or not.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about this one.
Yeah.
We just did a project where I put Geist in there.
Yeah, we have to rethink. I mean, it just depends on what they want, right?
Right.
Most people don't want crazy 3D barcode support. They don't need that. But yeah, we've thought about, Jonathan, like, kind of chopping quick startup, that free template we offer, and what can you chop up and how do you chop it up? And but yeah, accounting's definitely a if you can make it simple. I'm just always thinking transaction, and then of course that's a whole different. And then you just add a little QuickBooks beep or whatever to it. I always think that when I think simple accounting.
Well, if you've used QuickBooks or anything, any serious accounting package, then you're not going to be able to wrap your brain around how a simple a package might be. But there are places where just keeping track of a few things in a simple single ledger would be useful. And you're not going to replace QuickBooks, but I find myself a lot of times like creating invoices and stuff like that, and then creating an invoicing report that you send over to the bookkeeper. So something that would do a few of the things
right
up front that would then you could output somewhere else. Might be useful.
We've brainstormed some really crazy reporting generating tool, because of course with JavaScript you can do all kinds of stuff with reports, and but I think we keep talking ourselves out of it, knowing how much time it would take. So, and ultimately I just kind of default back. Boy, I just wish FileMaker makes it reporting a little easier for us, and we don't have to do that. But some kind of bolt-on for reporting could be pretty cool. Web reports, cross tabs, all kinds of stuff, year over year, things that we go ooh when we have to do.
Maybe something with data table. I know it's already pretty easy to incorporate into the solution, but for someone who's not familiar with JavaScript, it might still take a while before they can use it to create one of those essentially to replace virtual lists. So you have forms that are collapsible and stuff like that. I think those could be simplified as an add-on and still make it data-driven in a way.
Yeah.
I created a report one time that used Portal with, actually no, it was a list view with button bars across. And so you could turn on however many buttons you wanted. So you could, and it would resize, and you could also stretch it and everything. So you could very dynamically create a virtual list and then have the button, each button access one item from the array, and you could build a list on the fly. You could maybe have some parameters set up at the beginning. Here I want to get this field and this field, and and then generate a maybe like a SQL, a little bit of SQL to build the array, throw it in a global, and then have this button bar fully reconfigurable dynamic view of the data would be pretty cool. So
that's we've talked about something similar, definitely a little different, but there's a lot of possibilities out there with how to digest data in a web viewer. You know, it really opens up things.
But you're talking JavaScript there.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, my only hammer is FileMaker.
Well, that's okay too. That's okay too. Well, at some point, hopefully they'll move their engine on Windows. I think that will please a lot of developers because we painfully have to sometimes consider that side of the world. So them changing that, and I really look forward to the Android stuff. I don't know. Does anybody? I don't have a magic wand. Does anybody seen a roadmap of when? I don't even know if I've seen it anywhere on any ETS stuff. When it comes to Android. So I don't know if this is a year off still. It could be. I don't know. Doesn't seem soon, put it that way.
I keep thinking of Romancing the Stone. Well, I'll send the boat back for you. When, Ira? Soon. Very soon.
Nice. Well, it's not 2 weeks, that's for sure. But that will definitely, and I don't know what the syncing means. That's kind of a super teaser, right?
Yes, it was. I saw that and I was like, wow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because, you know, sometimes we take it for granted, but FileMaker innately is syncing, right? I mean, you're connecting it, syncing. I mean, that's why changes show up. So, you know, that's a tease, huh?
Is that just for Android?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't know.
They didn't give any more information.
Well, but they said parity with Go.
Most.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So one would think that if they're going to do it on one, they got to do it on the other.
I would sure hope.
That's the first time I've seen that. That's
I missed that.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's super exciting. Well, in their slide notes, the way they talked about deploying on Android kind of leads me to believe they have to do it on Android. Because let me see if I can find it. The way they phrased it, they said that you would be deploying your apps on Android, kind of like you do with the what's the tool to build an iOS app that you can take your app and convert it.
Isn't that what iPod converter is doing?
Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
the iOS tool.
Yeah, it's a command line tool. I just can't remember the specific name of it.
Yeah.
No, like LiveCode actually have like a FileMaker converter, which converts apps to Android. This sounds.
Did they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
we're working on a method to allow. Yeah, we're working on a method to allow conversion of FileMaker apps to native Android apps and deploy them to those devices. And then the syncing kind of makes more sense. If the only way to deploy it is to convert the app and put it on the Android, you would need that syncing to keep the data in line with the server.
Yeah, this sounds like the LiveCode converter feature. So I'm wondering if they're just really partner up with their partners and offering that as like a semi-official tool.
Taking all the oxygen out of the air. Wow.
I actually look at that one.
Yeah.
I showed that at one of the Toronto meetings. It's not what I thought it would be. Like, there's a lot of limitations, especially if you compare it to FileMaker Go. It's not.
We're running out of oxygen. Wow. It's all coming out of the room. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't sound as good now. All right, next slide. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know what the syncing is. So are you trying to say, wow, that they'll be syncing for Android but not iOS because of this tool?
Oh, the offline syncing? Yeah, isn't that on the Android slide? So
yeah.
So because I remember because it is a native Android app. So after you convert it, it doesn't use the same. It doesn't have a live connection like FileMaker Go.
Right.
So it has to resort to an offline syncing method.
Isn't that what the iOS dev tool or whatever it's called? Isn't that what that does? Is it creates a native iOS app?
The SDK?
The SDK, yeah.
Yes. It creates, but I think that one creates a native iOS app, but that app does the app have live connection to FileMaker server? It's almost like running it from FileMaker Go.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah.
You can.
Yeah,
Okay.
so on the Android side, Live Codes guys, they couldn't do that because I think that's still reserved for FileMaker Go or WebDirect. If it's like a native Android one, they have to use offline syncing. So that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing they're partnering up with Live Code, because aside from those guys, I haven't heard anybody else who made an attempt on converting FileMaker to Android.
Well, I guess let me ask it from a capitalistic perspective. Maybe this is the wrong question. How do they license that?
Interesting. Let me find my notes on those. They try to find a licensing model that doesn't completely piece off Claris. So let me see.
So you're saying it would just blend into the user count licensing of today? So that's just another platform to use?
Yeah, let me try to find my notes, because I remember it was like, oh, I remember. I think they use Data API. So
yeah, because I mean, if you do that, I mean, you can do that today, right? Throw something that's syncing, you throw it on iOS, you hire some smart people that know the Data API, and everything goes to the Data API, and you don't,
Right.
connect to the server or as a client. So.
Well, isn't that the way Mirror Sync works?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. So
see,
correct, yeah.
They
But
said,
it's a little different.
Yeah, so it uses Data API, which means you still need to have a FileMaker server with user licenses.
Right.
Then they charge on top of that for their own, like for each seat that you convert, for each seat using the converted app, I think they charge it.
Wouldn't be like a concurrent connection or something?
You're saying there's some additional bolt-on you think for licensing?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, because I think they chose Data API instead of, say, the PHP API. Because with PHP, you could just get one license and then just use the API forever, and that will rip off FileMaker. So they chose Data API, so that if you have a lot of usage, you still need to purchase the bandwidth and the stuff, like all the quota from FileMaker. But on top of that, they have their own fee attached to it.
Well, we'll just have to wait to see. Interesting. Well, good stuff.
That's what FileMaker is referring to. It sounds like it.
Sounds like live code, huh?
It's actually called just Live Code Converter. It's like a byproduct from their actual programming language. If you search for, I think it's called LCFM native, you'll find it.
Cool.
Very nice.
Well, I'm gonna head out of here. I don't know if you guys
I have another meeting I have to take off too.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you for presenting, and I appreciate everybody for joining.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
to hear your voice again, Mr. Ding. And we'll catch you next time.
Yes.
Hopefully in person sometime in 2021.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, guys.